Hi guys, it's Kristen. I don't have one of my regular videos this week. I'm feeling a bit under the weather. So I'm sitting here with a quilt and a hot drink, and I thought I'd let you know about something I'm planning for January 2023. So I'm gonna do what I'm calling a scrap busting sew along or quilt along. Don't know yet about it's a quilt, but basically. It was really a suggestion of one of my subscribers, and I thought it was a good one, so I thought I'd give it a go. But it's going to be a quick and easy quilt. It's going to be basically based on one block. I'm going to have some variations to it, so I'll explain about that. But basically, you can do this quilt if you're a beginner or you're more experienced and you've got loads of scraps and stash to kind of work through. That's the idea. So it's going to start on the 9th of January after we've all recovered from New Year's and Christmas and all of that. And it's going to go for 4 weeks, so it's going to be pretty short. And as I said, we're going to, basically the first week I'm going to show you the block and some variations. So there's going to be, I'm going to be probably doing the one that's got sort of a crumb block as the basis at the center of the block. And I'll tell you more about it in the first video and all of that. But if you're not into crumb piecing, if you're a kind of scrap quilter who pre-cuts fabric and things like that, and you've got lots of 2.5 inch squares, I'm going to have a variation for that. And then there'll be another one that I'll also tell you about. So basically, if you want to make it a more complicated quilt with 3 variations of blocks, you can do them all. Or you pick your favorite one and you just rinse and repeat, and it'll just be easy and it'll get through some of your scraps, and we can all just make a fun, relaxing quilt in January. I always struggle a bit in January with what to do with myself because I don't have any more Christmas gifts to make. So I thought this would be a good idea, just sort of clear the decks of some scraps. So the idea though is that you should not be buying new fabric for this unless you're a beginner quilter and this has piqued your interest for whatever reason. Then maybe you could do that. But the idea is that you'll be pulling out, in order to get prepared, pulling out scraps, so small crumbs, or if you're not a crumb piecer or you don't like the idea of trying that, then your 2.5 inch squares. I color coordinate things, and so I would have a block that was each color, or I'll decide on to do just one color of scraps for the whole quilt. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do for that yet. So if you're wanting to be prepared, you could be, if you don't already have your scraps separated by color, you could do that. But if you don't want to do that and you want to do just totally random colors altogether, you can do that too. The background should also be scraps. So bigger pieces, but they should still be scraps. So I'm probably going to do possibly a dark background. I usually do white. So, but either one is fine, like a low volume white or black or gray or navy. Because if you think about whether or not you're color coordinating your scraps or you're doing them random, these blocks are going to look scrappy and they're going to have a mix of probably prints and solids. And so you need something that's going to be a contrast. So something much darker than the rest of your scraps or much lighter than the rest of your scraps, depending on what you have basically. But I'll talk about that more in the first video as well. But just if you're like, I really want to do this and I want to make sure I have what I need, or I want to prepare ahead of time, that would be what to think about. I'm going to make a throw size, my favorite size of quilt, but I'll also give you, how many blocks you need to make it a baby size if you want. And if if you started off and you do 1 block and that's you, then, you've got a pot holder or something. So, just don't feel like you have to commit to a certain size. And the main thing is, don't worry about not having enough scraps or enough fabric. So I'm going to give you ideas. If you, for example, start making it and you're really liking it, but you didn't have as much of the background fabric as you thought, then we can think about switching it up for the second row. This is going to be a block-based quilt, so it's going to be really easy to change things up to make it work depending on what scraps you have. So this is no stress, no pressure, not a lot of prep, and you don't need to buy anything. The only thing, I guess, if you don't already have batting sitting around and you want to commit to finishing it as well as like quilting it, not just making a quilt top, then you might want to get in the batting for the size you want to make. But other than that, I wouldn't be buying anything different. You could even be using leftover thread to quilt it. We could make that totally scrappy as well and just have fun with it. I'm going to be quilting mine on my Moxie long arm that I got a few months ago. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that, obviously near the end of the quilt along. But I'm also going to have my friend Tom from the Colorblind Quilter, that's his channel, and he really knows his stuff in terms of walking foot quilting designs. He's got a whole series on it on his YouTube channel, but he's going to come on to my channel and give us some ideas about how we could be quilting the quilt along Scrap Buster Quilt with a domestic machine and a walking foot. So we'll talk about all of that, and I'm hoping it's going to be lots of fun. If you want to join in, you don't really have to do anything except, I guess, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications, and leave me a comment. Let me know that you're going to do it, because that'll help me to kind of get an idea of how many people are going to do this with me. You could also email me if you want, hello@scrapfabriclove.com. I might do up a little, I'm thinking I might do up a little pack that you can sign up with your email address on my website, but that'll be closer to the time. But whether or not I do that, the whole thing is totally free, and all of the instructions will be on YouTube. So the main thing is just to subscribe and make sure you're getting those notifications if you want to take part. So I hope you will all put that in your diary, 9th of January, and we can get started doing it then. And I'll see you again soon. Thanks so much for spending time with me. Bye.